welcome to the Modern Leadership Podcast. I'm Tim Nolan. In today's episode, we're going to look at creating a growth mindset, not only for yourself, but for your team. And one of the most fascinating things that I'm hearing a lot when I'm working with managers is I often hear them say, I really wish my employees, my staff would, be open to learning, asking for feedback and really being hungry to grow instead of me always pushing things on them. And so if you start looking at a growth mindset and creating that on your team, you can actually proactively address probably many of the challenges that you're experiencing through this. And we'll talk about today too, and how you can give better feedback to your staff as well to continually reinforce it. This is a great theme. Maybe have a theme for the year, every year. And this is a great theme to have, like, hey, over the next 12 months, we're going to look at this. So I think this is, if you're either going to wait till January or you want to start it now, this would be a great theme to have on your team. And there's 5 major components of a growth mindset that research has found. And so we're going to talk about those. I'm going to break them down one by one. So the 5 include a belief in development, embracing challenges, resilience with setbacks, focus on effort and learning, and seeking feedback, my personal favorite. So, but let's break these down a little bit. So when we look at belief in development, is individuals with a growth mindset believe that their abilities, talent, and intelligence can be cultivated and improved over time through effort and learning. Think about that for a moment. So this is a focus on development, ongoing development. And I see this often with organizations and groups that I'm working with, especially when they go through the 12-month Highly Effective Managers Program. And for example, I'll give you this one group. They just concluded the program. And we did a survey ahead of Module 12, the last module, to, find out some things they're looking for, what they wanted to focus on going forward, as well as how they really utilized the program, how it made a difference for them. And the results were really interesting from the standpoint that some people, had great value, they really liked it and applied a lot of stuff. But there was another group who didn't put much effort, self-admittedly, into applying the strategies that were covered throughout the program. And what's interesting about that is this is consistent with the participation that I've seen in the group over the last 12 months, where you have a handful of people super active, asking questions, adding stuff, and you got a good amount, much more than that, who are just sitting back and rarely adding or offering stuff. And so that's that participation factor. But when you drill down and you look at belief and development, people like this that I have found, because remember, over 7,000 people have gone through the Highly Effective Managers Program that I've mostly facilitated all these groups. And so with that, you're seeing a good amount of folks who do not feel that they need to learn and grow, that their leadership styles are really, really strong and proficient to begin with. And what's interesting, I've seen this with the self-assessment. So at the beginning of the program, participants do an assessment of, like, let's say 20 areas, and then they'll do it again at the end of the program. And so it's interesting that I've seen a good amount of people whose scores either have stayed the same or have gone down in some cases. And so when I ask them about that, it's a really interesting theme that occurs, where people will say that, I thought I was doing this. And as I went through the content of the chapters, I realized I was not doing this as much as I thought I was. And so I say that from the standpoint that there's a good chance that if a development program comes across in your organization, you really should get heavily involved in it, because there's probably things in there, regardless of how long you've been leading other people. There are things either to remind you about or really get you to focus on different areas, especially with the needs of today's evolving needs of today's workforce, that we always need to be one step ahead. And that starts with just being open. So, starting with this belief in development. So, it starts with you. What are you doing to continually develop yourself? Whether it's a podcast you're listening to, whether it's a book you're reading, whether it's talking to colleagues, asking their opinion, asking how they've handled similar circumstances. And so, this is something that you can not only model for your staff and talk to them about what you do, but also use that to influence them to engage in those same behaviors. Remember, just because you do it, it doesn't mean that your staff will automatically start doing it either. We need to have the intention of influencing them so that they start engaging in those same behaviors. So that's number one, belief in development. So number two looks at embracing challenges. And the research says they view people with a growth mindset view challenges as opportunities to learn and grow rather than as threats to their abilities. Think about that. And view challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. So that means one needs to be open. One needs to be secure, knowing that you don't have all the answers. And this is a great thing for you to lead by example, is that, being open to challenges. And especially we see this with change. When managers talk to me about change, there's a section in the Highly Effective Managers program, we talk about change and how to proactively deal with it. And what we do is I put them through an exercise where they start identifying what it looks like if people are responding well to change. And in doing so, you're actually creating your own vision of what you would like to see. And then we start working backwards in terms of showing people what you need to do in order to get that. But it starts with being open that we don't have all the answers. And okay, these challenges are going to happen, but I'm going to learn from this. And it's one of those things, you know what, I'm smarter today than I was yesterday. But people need to be open to that. So that's number two, embracing challenges. Number three is resilience in the face of setbacks. So the research says people with a growth mindset see failures and mistakes as valuable learning experiences that help them improve and move forward, which is very related to embracing challenges. A lot of overlap there. And so just being open and not being afraid when challenges, when we look at resilience with setbacks, that's really more of an outcome. Like you have failed, or you didn't do as well as you wanted. Your team wasn't able to complete the project in time or satisfactorily. And so just looking at what is my role in this? How did I contribute to this? So when you look at resilience in the face of setbacks, it starts with looking at ourselves. How did I contribute to the outcome of this situation? And so, a lot of people struggle with that. And I think if managers did a better job of discussing what reflection looks like and how people actively contribute to outcomes of situations that they're involved in, you get much better responses for resilience and people who can bounce back and who are more adaptive and flexible and more able to learn. So that's number three. Number four is a focus on effort and learning. People with a growth mindset understand that hard work, dedication, and effective strategies are essential for achieving their goals. Makes sense, right? So, but again, it starts with just being open. And what a really great opportunity for you is to create a theme. You should have like a theme every year, and then you can break it into chunks month by month. And so whether you want to start now or you want to start in January, make a reminder for yourself and roll it out. Say, listen, over the next 12 months, this is a theme. We're going to talk about this weekly. We're going to have it in our monthly staff meetings. We're going to talk about it in one-on-ones. I'm going to challenge you. This would be a great theme to have. Again, having this growth mindset, because if people do have a growth mindset, they're much, much more open to feedback. And like the last one talks about is seeking feedback. Again, this is my personal favorite. Think about how much easier your job would be if your staff was coming to you proactively and asking for feedback on, hey, how did I do with this project? Or how did I do in the meeting? What are your thoughts? Do you have any suggestions on what I can do with this? And when I have this challenge, what can I do with that? think about how much easier it would be. I'm sure it would be a little bit time consuming, but think about how you would have less issues to clean up as a result if people were being more proactive. So you should start doing this with your manager, asking for feedback. What are your thoughts? What can we do with this? So that's something that I would definitely highly recommend. And then once you start doing that, then you can discuss that with your team because then you're modeling. Hey, here's what I do with my manager. And I've been doing this over the last 2 months. So I want to share some things that I've done with you. And I'd like you to do this with me. And so, but we need to show people a framework of this is what it looks like if it's working well. But if people don't have that, you're just assuming that they're going to do the right thing, whatever that means. So we need to show them a framework that this is how we do things. And in creating a culture of with a growth mindset and continually reinforcing that will allow you to provide better feedback to your team, whether they ask for it or not. And so, again, that's another part of an effective leader is giving consistent feedback. And so, but if you create the framework, the foundation of hey, a growth mindset, defining those 5 terms, giving to them, you can do an internet search and it'll come right up, and giving it to them saying, this is what we're going to focus on over the next 12 months. This will be a component of our discussions, an expectation, and think about examples that you want to see as a result of each one of these things. That here are a couple things that I would like to see. Or you can even ask your team, is belief in development. What does that mean to you? Or embracing challenges. If someone's really embracing challenges, what does that look like? So all these things have so much to offer. But think about this. If you create a culture of a growth mindset on your team, how much more effective your team will be, not only as a team, but individually, the individual members of the team as well. So that's something you should really check out. And I'll be talking more about that in the upcoming session of the Highly Effective Managers Program, with the next one starting on 10/16. So whether it's just you or you want to bring your team in, or if you have 20 more people, I can run a group just for you guys. So again, www.highlyeffectiveorganizations.org, or reach out, Tim at modernleadershippodcast.com with any questions, and definitely would love to get your thoughts on any other topics you'd like to see me cover in future episodes. So again, growth mindset, create that in your team, reinforce it, watch for great results. Tim Nolan, Modern Leadership Podcast. Have a great day.